Yeah, on the night that we celebrate the career of a four-time champion in Ricky Ray, we open with the man that takes over for him. At the helm for the Argos this year is 27-year-old James Franklin with a new coach and a new outlook. Franklin will go head-to-head tonight with Jeremiah Mazzoli, who has played some of his best football against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, or against the Argos, I should say, with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Mazzoli averages over 300 yards a game against the Argos and is 5-1.
Former Argo Orlando Steinauer posted his first win as a head coach last week, 23-17 over Saskatchewan, looking for more offense from his club in their second game. And there's Corey Chamberlain making his Argo head coaching debut. Also the defensive coordinator. That's the post he manned in the 2017 Argo Grey Cup Championship. Kevin Fogg is back along with Chris Reedy, and we're underway. The Argos will have a slight breeze at their backs here in the opening quarter at BMO, and good downfield cover. Kevin Fogg is brought down around the 25, and so here comes James Franklin, who was 3 for 4 in the preseason, 70 yards and a touchdown. Didn't get a lot of work, but very early on, Corey Chamberlain declared he'd be their number one man.
Yeah, I asked Coach Chamberlain what he said to James Franklin early in the offseason. Basically said, I didn't say to him it's his job to lose. I said it's his job to grow in. And I thought that was a great approach to tell James Franklin, you be you, because we trust you and your skill set.
First play from scrimmage. Wilder releases, and the pass goes to the newcomer. There is Darrell Walker with the catch and a first down. One of the big three, they're calling them here in Toronto, and they've got some weapons.
Well, they do. They pick up Darrell Walker, and of course they have chemistry going back to their Edmonton days, James Franklin and Walker, and they get it started. Throw one, game one for the Argos.
And it's Darrell Walker bobblehead day, so
yes,
he's not going to drop that first one. 2 catches away from 300 in his career, and a handoff inside. And James Wilder plows to about the 42 as we set this offense for you.
Well, some great weapons, as you mentioned. There's Darrell Walker. Go back to their time together in Edmonton when Mike Riley was the starting quarterback, James Franklin the backup. Lots of weapons, though, including S.J. Green. There's their number 1 draft pick, Shane Richardson, out of Oklahoma State. Played both guard and tackle in college. He's the number 1 pick overall and starts at right guard.
In for the injured Ryan Bobbin on the 6 game. 3 for Wilder, 2nd and 7. Blitzing is Adeleke over the middle. The pass is incomplete. Intended for Amonte Edwards. Broken up by Richard Leonard in coverage.
Real good coverage by Leonard. There was not much room to get the ball in there. James Franklin tried to gun it, tried to force it in. Leonard made the play.
So Ronnie Peffer to punt. Frankie Williams is back, returned one last week for 68th and a touchdown.
James, 5-12.
Wobbly punt, bouncing down to the 30, and Williams there. Levi Noel slows him up, and Williams is dropped at the 36, a 39-yard punt. 6 on the return and a flag down as Jeremiah Mazzoli leads the Ticats out. And Suits, as you mentioned, an Argo killer, 5-1 in his career with 17 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions against Toronto.
Maybe this game will kickstart him back to that 300 yards per game status he had.
After the play, major foul, unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 91. It's a 15-yard penalty. It's going to be first down.
Eddie Wilson, the newcomer, flagged, and that won't be the first unnecessary roughness penalty between Hamilton and Toronto.
You think there'll be a couple more?
Ticats won all 3 last year. 2-score leads in each of those games, and they've won 9 of the last 12 in the QEW rivalry.
I'm going to mention Jeremiah Mazzoli didn't get off to a real good start in game 1. They got the win, but a little slow second half offensively.
Lowest yardage production, 230. Big to Burlington, and they get into the hands of their most dangerous weapon. That's Brandon Banks, brought down by Abdul Kenna. Hamilton offense today?
Well, one replacement, no Tasker, no Luke Tasker in the lineup, so they're going to move Marcus Tucker into his spot. Tucker was in game 1, but only was targeted twice. He'll be targeted more in Luke Tasker's spot. And there's the former Argo, Chris Van Zyl, playing that right tackle. He returns back down the QEW to play against his own team.
Got an injured Argo, Alden Darby, who was in all 18 for Toronto last year and had a touchdown against the Ticats on Labor Day. Has been shaken up, and while he gets attention, we will step aside. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Looks like Alden Darby will be okay. He heads to the sidelines to be replaced by Robert Woodson on the wide side corner. Good crowd, good atmosphere here at BMO this afternoon. 5 for Brandon Banks, 2nd and 5 for the Ticats. And over the middle, Braylon Addison's got the catch and a first down. Game tackled around the 43, just one reception last week for Addison.
Well, the timing is outstanding on this curl route, right in behind the zone drop for the Argos, and the timing as he comes out of his break, ball delivered right on the money.
First down, Hamilton. 5 receivers out. Mazzoli's got time, but he's intercepted. The ball picked off by Abdul Kenna, and Kenna back into Ticat territory, drops it, and Hamilton has got it back. Brandon Revenberg ends up with the football, and the Ticats have a first down.
Well, the spotlight is on Kenna right here. He's going to drop back and get underneath this throw from Jeremiah Mazzoli. Kind of baits him by looking like he's going to the short side of the field, then rolls back into the middle, takes the ball. Now, who strips it from him on the return? He's got it out there loose in that right hand. Filer. Was it Filer or was it Revenberg?
I think it was Revenberg.
It was Revenberg.
Forced the fumble and got it back. Big man from Essex, the top offensive lineman in the East last year. Makes a tremendous play to recover the football. Now the pitch to Earlington. John Earlington with 103 yards from scrimmage in the opener against Saskatchewan. Here's the double blue D.
Really like their front 4 rotation. We'll get more into that as the game goes on, but it's anchored by Sean Lemon with 61 career sacks. Micah always should have a big season because of the rotation up front. You go back to that secondary good group. Jermaine Gabriel is the safety, but Kevin Fogg, the big free agent signing from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And Alden Darby is back into the game on the corner. Second down. Mazzoli again with time. He wants Banks, and Banks has got it. A Ricky Ray corner route from Mazzoli to Banks.
We'll have Ricky Ray up between the first and second quarter of this game to come and join us in the booth, and no one threw it better than Ricky Ray on the corner route. That's pretty good imitation of it.
But Mazzoli a money throw for 29, and now Earlington, who got banged up in that game last week, crashing down off the left side, and looks like he'll have close to 4.
Boy, he likes to play against the rival. He likes to play against Toronto. 5-1, as I mentioned, averaging over 300 yards. Some of his best football against Toronto Argonauts.
Last year, even better than that, 385, 307, and 338. The passing yardage for Mazzoli in his 3 victories over the Argonauts. 2nd and 6. Pressure coming. Mazzoli into the end zone. And too far for Banks, and Alden Darby in his hip pocket.
Double move here by Brandon Banks. They isolate him. Basically put him into the boundary so he gets the one-on-one, and it's against Alden Darby, who was injured, had to go out for 3 plays, comes back in the previous play, but is there to cover Brandon Banks in this double move. Look at the stutter step and then takes off again. Darby gets on his horse, gets back there, gets in position, and is there to make sure that Brandon Banks can't come up with the catch.
Here's Ira Lahu, perfect last week, including a 48-yarder. This from 34 out. And the Ticats have opened the scoring here at BMO. 29-yard pass to Banks, the big one, setting up the Ticats for a 3-0 lead.
I mentioned the chemistry between James Franklin and Darrell Walker started back in 2015. This was the first start, August 28th, for Franklin. He put on a show with Darrell Walker having a monster game. Over 160 yards in completions to Darrell Walker. This is where it began. And at that time, James Franklin was number 3 behind Matt Nichols and Mike Riley. But there's the numbers after that one game, and that's when both arrived on the map in the CFL.
Next year, Walker led the league in receiving with 1,589 yards. Here's the speedster, Chris Rainey. Rainey hops over a would-be tackler and skips out at the 36-yard line. See a little of Rainey on offense, but we should see a lot of Darrell Walker.
Tremendous chemistry, and they both like each other. They hang out together off the field as well. And you have Darrell Walker, your number 1 receiver. You could argue a lot of guys, Greg Ellingson, S.J. Green on their team that are top receivers in one-on-one scenarios. But I'm not sure if I don't pick Darrell Walker first. Looking at the guy who can win the one-on-one.
Number 13 in the CFL top 50 voting. Here's Franklin trying to get outside, in some trouble. Rico Murray putting on pressure. A flag comes down, and there's Edwards. Jolted out of bounds with a flag down on the play.
Plays that extend that long usually means someone up front is going to grab.
Illegal contact on the receiver. Hamilton, number 4. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be first down.
Richard Leonard. Good front 4 for the Cats. Gets better because of the addition of Adrian Tracy. Didn't play in week 1 against Saskatchewan. He's back in the lineup. 5-year Hamilton veteran at defensive end. We're going to take the spotlight off Simone Lawrence. We will talk about him as this game goes on and put it on their middle linebacker, Justin Tuggle, a little bit. Had a good game 1. Back in the secondary. How about the big return from Frankie Williams and the teams?
3 of the starting 12 are former Argonauts on that Ticat defense. A screen pass is incomplete. Franklin started the first 4 last year and then was replaced by McLeod Bethel Thompson. Finished the year starting the final 4. Both he and Bethel Thompson, who's the backup here, were 2-6 in a disappointing Argo 4-14 campaign.
Well, a lot of issues, not just the quarterback rotation. But Corey Chamberlain, as I mentioned, is going to let James Franklin just be himself.
2nd and 10. Got some time over the middle. Open target.
Nice shot.
The first down. Got it to Edwards. The glue guy, as Corey Chamberlain calls him, in that pick your poison offense that the Argos are advertising.
Yeah, Armonte Edwards is the trailing receiver right here. So a bit of a bunch formation to the right side of James Franklin. This is going to be a timing route that he's just waiting for him to make his break into the middle. 2 receivers in front. That pulls Richard Leonard to them. Edwards opens up.
16-yard gain for Jacques Chapdelain's offense. Now underneath, and that's Jimmy Ralph with the catch.
Well, Jacques Chapdelain, of course, 6 different teams he's worked for in the Canadian Football League. The last one, Montreal Alouettes, in 16 and 17. He's been a head coach, too. He's coached at college level in Laval and Simon Fraser University, and he's going to call the plays for James Franklin.
Got 7 on that little check down to Jimmy Ralph. So 2nd and 3. Walker and Green to the short side. They look the other way, though. And it will be a first down. And tossed out at the Argo bench is Edwards once again. Tackle on the play made by Adeleke, but it's a 13-yard pickup.
Yeah, and Franklin had to get this out of there quickly because pressure was coming down the middle from Ted Laurent. right in the face of James Franklin. Had to get it out there quickly. He does. Almost a horse collar there from Adeleke, but he got away with it.
Argos on the march. First down inside the 30. And Franklin going to take a shot here. Jump ball. And good coverage down the sidelines from Delvin Breaux. The intended target again was Edwards.
There's a little bit of Jacques Chapdelaine trying to innovate, because you don't often see a formation like this with 3 receivers for the Argos into the short side of the field. This is basically the boundary or short side, because there's not as much room as he has to his right. Not one receiver to the wide field, and goes down the sideline.
2nd and 10. And out of his stance, the newcomer, Shane Richards.
Procedure, Toronto, number 68. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down repeated.
So the number 1 pick flagged, and they'll march back 5.
I asked Corey Chamberlain last night in our phone call about Shane Richards, his number 1 pick. He said, yeah, I like him. He's going to start at guard. He said, man, big man. Like, even if he has a learning curve, the guys up front on defense are going to have to run around him anyway. That's going to take some time.
6'6", 335. Plus, 2nd and 15. Wilder release, but they go the other way. And it's Noel. Stopped up. Big hit on the play again from Delvin Breaux. It's going to be 3rd down.
3rd down, and how close, because this deep, it's tempting for a coach to maybe leave his offense out there. Going to
like
take
3rd and 3?
Yeah, they're going to take the points here. Good call by Corey Chamberlain. Of course, head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders back in 13 when they won the championship at home.
So it's Drew Brown, who came in late last year for the Argonauts, 10 of 11 in the final 4 games. This one from 28 is up and good. So the game tied here with just under 5 minutes remaining in the opening quarter. 11 distinguished years with the Toronto Argonauts. A little different seeing the Fonthill native Chris Van Zyl in black and gold.
Yeah, always different when you played that long for one team and then change teams, but it must be a real tough one to get your head around when you change from Toronto to Hamilton. I mean,
he was a former Mac Marauder, though.
I don't know how you can, yeah, that just doesn't seem right.
There's the speedy Frankie Williams. And he gets out beyond the 30, 159 return yards for Williams. And Chris Van Zyl must have graded out well last week, because we did not say much of Charleston Hughes' name in that opener.
Oh, absolutely. Jeremiah Mazzoli will know what a lot of great quarterbacks, including the guy we honor tonight, and Ricky Ray, have Chris Van Zyl protect him from that right tackle spot.
Just accidentally on purpose had to run into Cleo and Lang.
Say hello.
Get into the huddle.
Just say hello.
I'm back. They get started at the 33. Fake the hitch. Mazzoli. Can he find anybody? Might take off. Van Zyl there to block, but he checks down, and the pass is caught by Marcus Tucker, who was good on the teams last week.
Great look at Chris Van Zyl, and just how responsible he is and how he takes so much pride in protecting his guy, because he doesn't have a man to block here. So he's just kind of helping on the chip, and then he sees, oh, my quarterback's going to run. Okay, let me escort you out here. Jeremiah, I'll get out in front of you. Make sure no one harms you. It's your bodyguard if you're a quarterback.
A 149th game start for Van Zyl. Fake to Earlington, pumped inside. And it's a first down for the Ticats, and back-to-back catches for Marcus Tucker.
And the matchup for Van Zyl tonight will be Toby Antigua, Sean Lemon. We'll see a rotation of Beltray.
And Lemon just went down. He needs some attention.
I like this rotation. I mean, Sean Lemon's the veteran. We'll see what happened to him.
Well, they've got some veterans at defensive end, don't they?
But yeah, when you can rotate Lemon with Frank Beltre, of course, former Calgary Stampeder, they've got Lyndon Gaydosh as well, Freddie Bishop, and then Toby Antigua, who did a lot of things for Saskatchewan. Tremendous athlete off the edge as well. So it's not just their talent, individual talent. It's what they do in the rotation, keeping those legs fresh on defense. And because of that, and it looks like he'll be fine, but because of that, Micah Alway at middle linebacker should have a good year. I mean, a real big year. Because if your defensive line are keeping the offensive line tied up and not able to get to the second level, your middle linebacker can fly around and make plays.
Well, they've got to be better. A defense that struggled last year.
Well, I like the personnel. Now it's a matter of, can they bring it together?
I think there's a lot of people saying what Matt Dunnigan said last night. This team looks good on paper, but
exactly, yeah. But you got to make it happen.
First and 10 with a flag down over the middle. Pitch made, and Braylon Addison paid the price there. Ian Wild in on the tackle. Let's find out what the flag's all about.
Offside, Hamilton, number 15. It's a 5-yard penalty. Will repeat first down.
So Tucker ahead of the snap, so they march it back 5.
Marcus Tucker's got to be excited, and when you're a little too excited, you'll jump offside. You're anxious. You want to make something happen. You're in Luke Tasker's spot. Luke Tasker, one of the top targeted guys in the league from Jeremiah Mazzoli. Now you might get that many shots.
Didn't see Tasker catch a pass in the second half against Saskatchewan. They're hoping to get him back next week. Mazzoli, Erlington, and Sean Thomas Erlington back into Argo territory. And looks like a couple of yards short of the first down with a 13-yard pickup.
Like how Erlington sunk his hips and got low when he caught the ball there. He just kind of sunk in, anticipating the hit, making sure he secured the football.
Back to Erlington's got the first down, and as Mazzoli told us last week, the dude's tough. Like Sean Erlington's toughness.
Did you bring up the NBA final too?
We haven't mentioned that yet.
Okay. You didn't talk about Game 6? Okay. We'll get to Jeremiah on that one. He was, of course,
the highest profile in these parts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Golden State Warrior fan. Got something going for the Ticats here. And a ride shot. Thomas Erlington kicked it outside. Oh, it's a late flag, but Erlington lowers the boom. Let's find out what the flag's about, though. And I think Alden Darby suggesting it's coming back.
Number 84. It's a 10-yard penalty. Will repeat first down.
So a penalty against Jalen Acklin. Oh, excuse me, that's Nikola Kalinic, the rookie out of York.
Kalinic playing tight end on that last play, and he just grabbed on.
No, first and 20. Over the middle, and that one was tipped.
He's playing against Sean Lemon, the veteran. And he's going to come up on that outside. This is what Hamilton and other teams are going to have to do to play against him. Double team. Kalinic there, Erlington. Make sure that defensive end has enough attention. That opens up one-on-ones on the backside.
That Gaydosh that got a paw on that football, it's second and 20. Lyndon Gaydosh, a former Ticat, and the number 1 pick in the draft back in 2013. Now, was only in trouble, got it away. And the pass caught by Jalen Acklin, who was tremendous in the preseason. Didn't play in the opener. Had 8 catches for 73 yards in one game against the Red Blacks in the preseason.
Well, this is going to be a matchup we're going to watch all night. Chris Van Zyl up against Sean Lemon. They keep going to that short side of the field as the right side. It'll be Van Zyl right in the middle of your screen against Lemon. Watch how quick Lemon is. He's with his right hand, going to knock down the hands of the veteran in Van Zyl, one of the top tackles in the league. That's halftime, give the win to Levin, but that battle goes on all night.
Iralahu looking for the corner here. Rainey's got it at the 9. And Rainey can't get away. That's good downfield cover by Mike Daly. Late first quarter, tied at 3.
Make your getaway with intelligent all-wheel drive in the 2018 Nissan Qashqai.
Take a look back to the most talked about play of week 1, the Simone Lawrence late hit on a sliding Zach Collaros. And with more on that, let's join Matthew Shinetti.
Yeah, CC, we know the tension now between the league and the Players Association about that hit and the impending arbitration on July 9th for that 2-game suspension. But let's go deeper into Simone Lawrence. He was really affected by that hit. Although we saw a lot of tension between he and Zach Collaros on the field immediately after that hit, Simone Lawrence tried to reach out to Collaros. Collaros has not responded yet, but Lawrence and head coach Orlando Steinauer were reiterating this is not who Simone Lawrence is. He is not this kind of player. He does not go ahead and obsess over being dirty or being that aggressive. And the one thing Simone Lawrence kept on reiterating, especially me this week, I know I can be better. I feel for Zach. I didn't want it to happen the way it did, guys.
Lawrence out there now. Argo's backed up. And James Wilder Jr. with the run. Did he drop the football? Let's see. Ticats come up with it. It is Lawrence at the bottom of the pile, but the officials ruling that Wilder was down.
Well, certainly Simone Lawrence, just to follow up, has every right to appeal and to try and get those paychecks back and see what happens in arbitration. He has every right to do that. I think we got to be careful not to fall down these rabbit holes and start talking about process and appeal process, things like that. This is about a hit that we want to get out of the game.
Final play, opening quarter, and Wilder looks like he is going to be short of the first down. And that's the end of the first quarter. Coming up, we'll chat with the man of the hour. Ricky Ray will join us here in the booth.
Fix it.
Celebrate 65 years of Swiss Chalet. Join us Sunday, June 23rd in our restaurants to enjoy our famous quarter chicken dinner for only $6.50 to celebrate our 65th. See you June 23rd. Swiss Chalet. Taste it once, love it forever.
I'm a little bit steady.
Pure Country is here. The music you love has a new home.
I miss me more.
Pure hits, pure access, pure country.
Gotta get back now to the ones who love me. Don't you lose your head.
The best in country is Pure Country.
We're just simple like
Available on the iHeartRadio app. Download today.
what makes you country.
You're in Pure Country now, Canada.
What a career, 16 years. We saw him hoist the cup in 2003 as a member of the Eskimos, and then again in 2005 before celebrating twice with the Argonauts. Of course, the 100th Grey Cup in Toronto. And then a couple of years ago, it was Ricky Ray to DeVere Posey for 100 yards and another Grey Cup. Great to have you here. Over 60,000 yards, four Grey Cups. And a great day for you. Your thoughts on being honored here?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing to be able to come out and see the guys again. I mean, that was so much fun. I got to go to practice the other day and speak to the guys, and that's what you're going to miss the most. I mean, it's not about the plays and stuff. It's it's about the locker room and the guys and being a part of a team.
Ricky, 4 championships. I've also often said that you are sort of the Tom Brady of Canadian football when it comes to winning. Was there one that jumps out more than any of the others?
Not really. I mean, every one of them is special in their own way. I mean, there's kind of a story that builds up to each Grey Cup, and for the last one, it was just kind of having a second chance. I mean, I'd kind of been right on the line of being out of the league, I felt like, with just some injuries and stuff, and for Coach Trestman to give me that confidence and to be the guy and to be able to play that whole season just about and win the Grey Cup was pretty special.
I often hear a player say that when you know, you know. Did you know, or was it a real agonizing decision?
I knew. I knew pretty much once I got hurt, and I knew I wasn't coming back last year. I just had that feeling that it was probably going to be the time, and so I spent the whole off season knowing that I was probably going to be done.
Here's Masoli looking for Tucker incomplete. You did take your time, and I wondered, boy, he's not making that immediate decision. Maybe he is thinking about coming back.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to be 100% confident that that was the decision I was going to make, and so I wanted to give it the whole offseason, so I didn't change my mind. And every day I woke up in the offseason, it was I just never had that feeling of wanting to play. I still had the feelings that it was done for me, and so I wanted to wait the whole offseason just to make sure I was confident with my decision.
You look at those numbers. What does it mean to you to be one of only 4 quarterbacks in the 100-year history of this game to be over 60,000?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite the numbers there. I mean, a lot of those guys I grew up playing against, Anthony Calvillo and Damon Allen and, Henry Burris, the guys that, I got to compete against that are up there on that list. And what a great group of guys to be with.
What was neat about today is you got to share this with your family, and it struck me watching Chloe watch the screen and all those highlights, because she probably doesn't remember many of those great highlight plays, but she got to see it today.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty special. I mean, they've supported me, every day when I come home and, I'm not feeling great or whatever, they're there to give me that support. And so for them to get a chance to come down there on the field and see the presentation and kind of be a part of that presentation will be memories for the rest of their lives.
Hiralahu from 56 out has hit it. How about that from Liram Hiralahu?
How do you feel now physically after last year and the rehab?
Yeah, I feel really good. I don't have anything that's bothering me. I mean, it's nice not getting hit now. So I'm feeling really good, being able to do everything that I want to do, whether it's running, golfing, or, playing with my kids. I have no issues.
Some great teammates over the years. I know there's too many to mention, but if I had $1 for every time I called a Ray to Tucker corner route complete, I'd be retiring, not you. That was a special connection.
Yeah, it was. I mean, some guys you just have that connection with. It's so easy, and Tucker was that guy for me. And, just watching some of the highlights of, the 03 and 05 Grey Cup, he was a big part of our success, and what a great player.
So, I got to get to this question, watching James Franklin on this dig route. But I got to get to the question of the relationship with you and Jason Moss. When you guys were making that transition and winning a championship back in 05, but also, is there a chance it can extend?
It could. Jason and I are great friends, obviously teammates for a long time, and he's doing an awesome job. I mean, just his first coaching job was here in Toronto, coaching me, as a quarterback coach. So just to see his career going the way it is, I'd love to be able to work with him one day.
That pass forced incomplete. Speaking of coaches, how about the staff you worked under in 2012? Look at those names.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty special group there. I mean, all those guys are head coaches, I think, except for, Coach McAdoo. But, they're all doing a great job, and that's the reason why we won the 100th Grey Cup.
Well, it would be a thrill to watch you on the sidelines as a coach. It certainly was for 16 years.
We're going to have a break after this kick. Can you stick around for?
Sure, I can. I'd love to, guys.
I'm like all the fans in the Canadian Football League. I don't want to see you go.
Pepper with the boot and a good one. Backpedaling is Williams back around his 20. See if he can get outside, but not able to do it. That's great downfield cover after a 54-yard punt, but Charette down there in a hurry on the teams. Great to celebrate that brilliant, soon-to-be Hall of Fame career. Ricky Ray is a Toronto Argonaut for 7 years. A couple of Grey Cup celebrations, including that unforgettable one in the snow in Ottawa 2 years ago.
I'm not good at predictions, Ricky. Just before that throw, I said this could be a defensive struggle all night long, and you hit that deep one. I went, or not.
Yeah, that was pretty special play.
Shot Thomas Erlington with a nice run out of the shadow of his own goalpost after a holding call on the return.
Hey, one of the things I've just loved and admired about you and your career is how unassuming you've been. And such a great player and great leader, but yet you retired on a conference call in the off season. Didn't want a lot of fanfare. Was there some coach or somewhere you learned that sort of as the way you're going to handle yourself?
I don't think so. I think it's just part of my personality, and I've kind of been that way my whole life. So I'm comfortable just kind of being in that role. And obviously the players I watched growing up, I kind of gravitated to those types of guys. And I don't mean it out of disrespect or like I don't care. It's just the way I am.
Remember your season opener 2017, you went on to win the Cup, but you passed for 506 in that game against Hamilton. His only hit as he threw. Can a game in June or July set the tone for an entire season, and did it for you that year?
Oh, for sure. I think, especially up here, everybody says the season doesn't start till Labor Day, but these early games are very important. I think the better start you get off to really sets the tone for how you're going to do as a team, and you're not playing catch-up the whole year. I think if you wait till after Labor Day and you're trying to play catch-up, that's where you get into real trouble. So, our home opener in 2017, we were off to a great start and really gave us a lot of confidence going into that year.
Okay, one of the best of all time, and I want to talk to you about some of the things that are happening now in the league that you're watching and you get the chance to watch on TV, not get hit. How do you feel about James Franklin? You know him well. I mean, his skill set and young quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I got to know James a little bit last year, playing with him. And, he's asked me for some advice. I try to answer questions and give him some of my experiences. So, I'm just really impressed just with his physical size. I mean, watching him run the football last year, he's running guys over and making plays with his feet. The other thing, too, is just how well he throws the deep ball.
Yeah.
His first game, he came in last year, he hooked up with Levi a few times, and I was like, man, that's pretty special to be able to throw passes like that.
Okay, so other quarterbacks are watching this game tonight, and James is going to watch it tomorrow on tape. So how do you throw the corner out like you threw the corner? Let's secret out. It's like the caramel secret. Let it out.
Yeah, well, first you got to have really good guys like Tucker and Fred Stamps that are catching it that make it a lot easier. But
good point.
For me, I just treated it like a go route. I just try to put a lot of air under it, let my guys run under it, use all that field, all that space, and just give them a chance to catch it. A lot of guys try and drive those corner routes in there and flatten them out, where I was a little bit of the opposite. I tried to float them out there, give as much air as I could to let them adjust to it.
Well, listen, I hope you have picked the tie for the Hall of Fame ceremony. Go ahead and pick it right now. It's been a pleasure covering your career from the booth.
Well, thank you. It's
our honor, our privilege, and it'll be 4 years to the Hall of Fame. We hope to see you as a coach before that, but
absolutely.
But we will be ready to watch your induction in 4 years. What a great 16-year career it was.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it so much.
A legend, Ricky Ray. Big boot. See the Frankie Williams Brandon Banks on the return. There is a flag down as Banks skips out around the 38-yard line. We'll sort out the flag. We'll salute Ricky Ray with his daughters Chloe and Olivia on Ricky Ray Day here at BMO. Team Canada continues its run for the CONCACAF Gold Cup tomorrow. They kick off against Cuba. Coverage begins at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, only on TSN.
Well, that goes down as one of my favorite TV moments. I have to say, I mean, it's a great honor and pleasure to be able to chat with the best of the best.
He's an understated guy, but he's one of the best ever.
Remember, he got traded for Stephen Giles, Grant Shaw, and a draft pick. And no disrespect to those players, but went on to beat all Flutie's records in Toronto and all the Toronto passing records after breaking all the Edmonton records. It's still one of those ones where you'll remember where you were.
And when you think about the quarterbacks in Edmonton and the fact that Doug Flutie was here, it speaks volumes about what he did. Some great quarterbacks here as well, like Conrad Holloway.
Absolutely. And I got a sense that he's almost ready to get coaching. Did you get that feeling, Scott? Not quite there yet, but I can tell.
The break's almost done. Wide side, Mike Jones, and he's got the catch. And back into Argo territory. Again, the Ticats with the 3-point lead on that big 56-yarder by Hairolahu.
Yeah, and, keeping the other eye on the game here, I see both quarterbacks kind of working the sidelines, working those short to intermediate routes.
Thomas Erlington straight ahead and should have the first down at the Toronto 50.
And, I think both of them got to think about maybe getting and moving the pocket a little bit, moving that launch point, and then trying one of those corner routes, one of those deep routes. There's been a couple from Jeremiah Mazzoli. There's Tommy Condell, the offensive coordinator. He calls them from upstairs. I think I've seen 2 corner route attempted by Mazzoli, one completed in the first quarter, one incomplete.
Thomas Erlington, 8 touches, 53 yards in the game. First and 10 was only with time. And the pass is going to Banks, who fumbles, and the Argos have got it. And Toronto has the takeaway here with a flag down.
Real late flag.
Washington with the recovery.
Real late flag.
Second fumble by the Ticats. The first one given right back by the Argonauts. Looks like the penalty was after the turnover. Ben Major to sort it out.
After the interception, illegal block. Toronto, number 40. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's going to be first down for Toronto.
So Lemon called for an illegal block, but the takeaway for the Argonauts stands. Banks with the catch, but Ian Wild with the forced fumble. And it's scooped up by Tremaine Washington.
Well, welcome back to BMO. This is a look at some of the signings in the offseason by Jim Pop and the Toronto Argonauts. And one of the reasons, Chris, that a lot of people are saying on paper this Argonaut team looks like a lot better than they were last year. Darrell Walker, Chris Rainey, the former BC Lion, Ian Wild, who just made that play. I think Kevin Fogg is one of those players who can do so many things for you. He can play multiple positions in the secondary and return.
Defense taking the ball away twice, handing it off to James Wilder. Last year, the Argos last in takeaways. Wilder stacked up. 4th carry of the game, and he now has 17 yards.
These two teams just kind of rope-a-doping right now. This one hasn't broken open just yet. A run game, little play-action game. Not really taking deep shots.
Second and 6 over the middle. Pass caught. And S.J. Green on the board for the first time in 2019.
1,000-yard season for S.J. Green in 2018. And some of his catches last year, just spectacular fashion. I mean, just highlight reel stuff.
Season with at least 80 catches. That is intercepted. Simone Lawrence has it. Back-to-back games with interceptions after not having one for 3 years.
You know, Simone Lawrence is a smart veteran football player, and he's been in the spotlight for the wrong reasons this past week. But he hides in the line here, and James Franklin never sees him. That's veteran knowing that he just crouches in behind the line, doesn't drop where he's supposed to drop, knowing that he can react physically and take that one out of the air. That's anticipation from 21.
So the turnovers even at 2 apiece. That pass is caught over the middle is Marcus Tucker, and he gets away. Tucker still going. Dragged down inside the 10-yard line.
Pre-snap read here for Jeremiah Mazzoli is pretty easy one because Jermaine Franklin has come down low and he has left the middle wide open. So Mazzoli quickly knows that he just has to get it in that voided area.
Thomas Earlington down near the goal line, and Kenna brings him down at the 1-yard line. 2nd and goal.
Very difficult to blitz Jeremiah Mazzoli because he can throw like Doug Flutie back in the day. He can throw while he retreats.
There's Mazzoli, keeper, flag down, Mazzoli in. Did the Argos line up offside?
Offside. Toronto, number 37. The penalty is declined. It's a touchdown.
Anthony Covington, the corner, lined up offside, and after the 44-yard pass and run play to Tucker, 2 plays later, Mazzoli will punch it in.
Right off that right side. But the throw to Tucker over the middle is really what got him down there in the yards after the catch from Tucker.
So they go for 2, trying to extend the lead to 11. Over the middle, and Tucker, does he hang on? Looks like he did. And it's a 2-point convert for Marcus Tucker, who set up the touchdown with the biggest play so far in this first half.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was after he caught the ball because it was an intermediate throw. Not a real deep throw, but Tucker did the heavy lifting, and then here, a nice catch because he has to go down low to get it. Pressure coming off the edge from Ian Wild, and he has to get those arms underneath. The official, the back judge right behind him, ruled immediately that it was a catch. Looked like a clean catch for me. 2 big plays from 15.
3 plays, 51 yards in only 48 seconds for the Ticats, and now have an 11-point lead and 11 points off turnovers here in the opening half. All that coming after the Simone Lawrence interception.
Always want to take advantage of that sudden change, and Simone Lawrence got that drive started.
Got 2 weather systems back there, rainy and fog. And it will be fog. Back up to the 30-yard line. Well, we mentioned Simone Lawrence with that big interception. Interceptions back-to-back weeks, but we wanted to hear his comments on the play last week.
I understand, I understand what people think, and, everybody's entitled to an opinion, At the end of the day, you just got to keep having high character and just being yourself, and, as long as your teammates understand who you are as a person, and, I really still pray and hope that Zach is fine. I reached out to him, and, he knows what kind of person I am.
Yeah, and it's sort of exploded from there. in a lot of different ways and down different rabbit holes. But this is about making the game safer, and I'm going to show you.
How about that play by Richard Leonard?
Yeah.
You're going to show us.
I'm going to show you exactly what the league wants to get to and what the Players Association want to get to. And here's the play again. There's Simone Lawrence. There's Richard Leonard. Two guys that are going to be in a very similar position and have to make a decision. Here comes Zach up the middle. Now he's going to hook slide. Both of them are in about the same distance away from Zach, and they have to make a split-second decision on the fly. They come down, and one guy goes and hits him. The other guy stops and lets him slide.
Franklin with his foot sliding there on the new hybrid turf, and off balance. Ted Laurent finishes him off for a sack, and the Argos offense went backwards on that series.
So just to wrap that thought up, we could take a look at this play, but just to wrap that thought up, I mean, both sides want the same thing. They want the decision that Simone Lawrence made to be different. So how do they get together and collectively find a way to make sure that players make that decision less and the decision that Richard Leonard made more?
Well, the Lawrence interception certainly has changed the momentum of this game. And now Pepper booting it away from his goal line. Williams at the Ticat 50 back into Argo territory, and he'll get hauled down around the 52-yard line. We hit the 3-minute warning, and it's the visitors with an 11-point lead.
3 minutes to halftime and a quiet first half for the newest member of the Argonauts, Darrell Walker. Well, Milt Stiegel, it's never quiet with him around. He's going to have a lot to say, as the guys are. Matty and Chez on James Franklin, Sean Thomas Erlington, 7-11 player rankings as well. Back to CC and Suze.
Look forward to it, guys. 2:50 remaining here in the opening half. Swinging out to Sean Thomas Erlington. And he'll fall forward down about the 46, finished off by Ian Wild. 5 more for the Ticat Canadian running back.
Tempo with the restart. That's to help declare the defense for Mazzoli when the receivers go to the line and then drop out again.
2nd and 5. Over the middle, pass caught. And it's Addison with the grab. And another Ticat first down.
Because of the restart, in other words, Mazzoli got into his cadence, and the receiver's coming across this way in Addison. But he got into his cadence and then backed him off. Now he knows he's got man coverage.
And with that completion, Mazzoli now with 1 yard more passing here today than all of last week against Saskatchewan at 170 and counting, with the first CFL catch by Jalen Acklin. Acklin ahead on the depth chart, ahead of Josh Crockett, who started last week. An interesting story, Acklin, 3 years at university with 21 catches. In his senior year at Western Illinois, 84 for 1,369 yards, including 343 in one game on 19 catches. Nice. And it's Banks with the catch. And Speedy B looks like he's got another first down, brought down by Anthony Covington.
Problem with that with Acklin is if he waits 4 years to have the big game, it's going to be too late at this level. So he's got to do what Speedy B just did right there.
Well, Sean Thomas Erlington, who was shaken up last week and we're told was nicked in practice again in the lead up to this game, is down and getting attention. And this could put Orlando Steinauer in a bind, because the backup is a converted defensive player, Jackson Bennett, who really has limited reps as a running back. And it looks like a neck issue that has been the problem in the last week or so. There's Jackson Bennett, the second-year man out of Ottawa. They also have a rookie, Malik Irons, a third-round pick in the 2019 draft.
Young, and younger.
Thomas Earlington with 8 carries, 45 yards, and 2 catches for 19 in this first half.
Now, the good news is for Thomas Earlington is that 3 times now he's had sort of a similar issue where he'd have to stop, kind of get it back, maybe a stinger of some kind, and then back in. And whether it's been practice or last week in week 1, he came back. So it looks like he was okay as he walked to the bench. That's good news.
Malik Irons is in at the running back spot, wearing number 20 out of Chilliwack, BC. And it is Irons, hits the hole. That's a pretty nice way to debut in the Canadian Football League. First ever run for Malik Irons. And it's a 13-yard scamper.
Played his college ball at Ohio and had a nice 6.6-yard rushing average there. That was over that, wasn't it?
It was. Back in it to Irons again. Stacked up, pile push, and Malik Irons is in the end zone.
Mike Filer didn't start in week 1. You know, he was jumping at the bit. And guess what? He starts in week 2, and I think he was the guy that was the lead dog on this sled.
Riker Matthews,
they started pushing.
Yep. How about that for your first series in the Canadian Football League on offense? Malik Irons, a 13-yard run, and then on his second carry, pay dirt.
You'll get that football once you're done here. The 2-point converted attempt, make sure you get it.
Back corner, and too far for Brandon Banks. So it remains 20-3. But a big 17-point run here for Orlando Steinauer's Ticats.
Mentioned Mike Filer back at center, and you know, when you are sitting out and watching in a healthy scratch, that can be motivation in the biggest way. And watch him step up, get the seal block inside, get to the second level on Ian Wild right here. That's the run that got them down to the doorstep for Irons. He gets the touchdown on the very next play after Filer helped push him in. As you mentioned, just outside of home base for me. Nice fishing out. There's some nice fly fishing out in Chilliwack.
John Huffnagel must have told you that.
He did give me some tips when we were in Calgary.
Well, the Argos with 80 seconds to change the complexion of this first half. Rainey stopped up before he got to the 25-yard line. Mike Daly, one of the leaders on teams for the Ticats, who are doing just about everything right here in the second quarter.
You know, when you just assess this first half, and I know players hate to hear it, but I'm just going to say it. I think right now Hamilton is more physical. They're just playing at a higher level physically than the Argos, and that starts up front. We've shown you the line of scrimmage being moved by the Hamilton offense and shut down by the Hamilton defense.
Even Franklin can engineer here. He goes over the middle, and the catch is made by Levi Noel. A good start here on a drive where the Argos need some points to get back in the football game. 18 for Noel, who had a breakout year with 47 catches for over 500 yards in 2018. Into the flat for Wilder, gets a block for Noel, and another Argo first down.
Another big hit, and I know the guys back at the panel want to talk about number 87, and yeah, it's a good topic of discussion because the first throw of the game from James Franklin went to Darrell Walker. He does not have a catch since.
Franklin now 8 for 16, 101 in this first half. First down up at the 52. Over the middle, and that pass caught. There is a flag. Ralph with the catch. Flag in the Argo backfield. Let's see if it's coming back.
Holding Toronto, number 68. It's a 10-yard penalty. Will repeat first down.
Making his debut at right guard, Sheen Richards draws his second penalty.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question. This isn't even a close one. He's working on Dylan Wynn, the former Argo. Got to get his hands inside.
Go first and 20. Pocket collapses. Out of the cloud. A lot of open field here for Wilder. Across midfield and sliced down near the first down stick by Frankie Williams. Stops the clock. Looks like it's going to be second and less than a yard.
Check down to James Wilder.
Take a shot.
29 yards receiving, only 9 rushing for Wilder. Second and a yard. S.J. Green got it. What a catch with Cariel Brooks all over him.
Well, this is what he does. He wins more of the 50-50 balls than probably any receiver in the league. You can cover him. You can run with him. Now up at the 34 years old, you can run with S.J. Green. The question is, can you get the ball away from him?
Argos get it into field goal range.
Now, I'm not saying he can't get open.
Timeout, Toronto.
I'm saying that even if he's not open, sometimes it doesn't matter. A lot of times it doesn't matter.
But with Darrell Walker, he won't see the constant double teaming that double coverage he's had in the past.
Yeah, very true. The safety will have to be concerned with 87 and 19.
Get that ball out of there.
Clock was running, so no time to take a shot. Want to make sure they come away with points here.
You got to return it, Speedy.
And Drew Brown is on. Can get it back to a 2-possession game. If Brown can hit his second field goal of the afternoon. This from 43 out. Hit one from 45 last year and up and good. Final play opening half here. And Corey Chamberlain's team down, but an encouraging final drive to produce some points. Nevertheless, the guys from up the QEW with a 2-touchdown lead as we join Rod Smith.
Thank you, CC, along with Ches and Maddie and Milton. The Argos look like they missed a chance there. Some valuable seconds.
It's the clock.
Yeah, I mean, could have taken a shot at the end zone. Instead, they do get the field goal, though. Evaluate their offense, though, in this clean slate for James Franklin.
I drew the short straw, didn't I, guys? Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. No, it's underwhelming performance by James Franklin. Certainly a lot of expectations for the young quarterback. A new offense with Jacques Chapdelaine, and it just didn't come together. And I like what Suit said. I think it's more the Hamilton Tiger Cats than it was anything that James Franklin wasn't doing. And this is good in the first quarter. And he's seeing some things. You can almost see him kind of leaning back, throwing off his back foot. Here, he had to get rid of the ball quickly because he had pressure in his face. And he finds Armani Edwards in the flats. Beautiful play. I like his recognition there. And then here, this is when things get ugly. As the pass rush is in his face and he's not seeing the field cleanly. And it kind of goes downhill from there until the last 2 minutes there. You saw the defense of Hamilton change, going to prevent. He started looking like he's finding some momentum, but I think that's misleading. Struggled badly in the first half, and I credit the Hamilton Tiger Cats more than his experience in this offense.
I was going to say just that. That's a good first time out there with this group. A lot of new plays, new offense, and that's a good group. That's a flat out.
I like that group.
A good front four and a great back end. So it's It's going to be a struggle with those guys.
I look at the Ticats at running back last year, and they had Alex Green, they had John White as well. Going with the Canadian Sean Thomas Erlington, and another Canadian comes in for a couple plays and picks up a touchdown on Malik Irons, but they're looking pretty good in the backfield.
And when you talk about running back, and Davis, you know what I'm talking about, that's a position that's usually reserved for American. You play the position, short side cornerback, a little bit of halfback, that's usually reserved for American. Let's be honest about it. But they have a guy in Sean Thomas Erlington, and I'm hoping he's healthy. I talked about him last week. This guy can be a special player. He has good size, 5'9", about 220 pounds, and his pad level, he always runs low. He's already short, but he's running low also, so it's hard to tackle him. So this guy, he's on the verge of being a star. I know it's early. This is only his second game started, but if he can stay healthy, he can truly be something special.
I look across the field at the other side. He doesn't have the pedigree of Rainey and Wilder, Florida and Florida State. But this University of Montreal running back has the game. I look at him. He's as good as any of those guys right now when I watch him run, and I mean that. Like, you look at a Canadian running back, especially, you can't prove yourself in practice. A running back's a position you really got to play the game. You can't tell what a guy's got in practice. I was with Andrew Harris when he was young. I'll be honest, I had no clue that Andrew Harris was that good until he got in the game and you saw him. And this is a chance, and I'm waving the flag right now, but Sean Thomas Erlington, watching him, he could be the best back in the league or one of them. I don't care where he's from.
And I know it's kind of hard because, like I say, this is only his second game start. But I just saw something special out of him last year when he got the opportunity. Of course, they went back to the American running back, but I just want to see this guy get his
drafted in the 8th round, by the way, too.
And it doesn't matter whether you got an American or a Canadian label on you. You're a football player. And we saw Malik Irons, get his first touches.
Running backs don't get that chance, though. That's the problem. Canadian running backs don't get that chance.
He was 6th in all-time voting for the John Cornish Award this year. Malik Irons was coming from University of Ohio, and he gets his opportunity and puts in the end zone on a second touch. It's a beautiful thing. So, in this game, we know that you've got an issue with not an issue, but a scenario you have to deal with at a ratio. But at the end of the day, they're football players playing roles and filling roles and positions. And Sean Thomas Erlington is a heck of a football player. With a bright future, like you said, Milt, if he can stay healthy.
Malik Irons is going to get 60 touchdowns on this pace.
There you go. The way it's going now. That's if Erlington stays out of the game, though. 64 yards combined for him. And then, 2 quick plays for Malik Irons. He's got his first CFL touchdown. We'll be back. 7-11 player rankings. We're going to take a look at the Sack Masters. Don't go away.
It's Ricky Ray Day at BMO Field in Toronto. Masoli's got time, but he's intercepted. The ball tapped out by Abdul Kenneth. And Kenneth back into Ticat territory, drops it, and Hamilton has got it back. Season with at least 80 catches. That ball is intercepted. Simone Horace has it. Back-to-back games with interceptions.
The knockout stage, the Women's World Cup in France. Round of 16 and a big one for Canada up against Sweden. That is at Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. You can stream every match live at CTV and TSN. It is time now for the 7-11 player rankings, and this week we take a look at the Sack Masters. Our producer, Jamie Rydell, a.k.a. Slurpee Boy, came up with this list, so we're going to critique it with the panel. Charleston Hughes on top.
I like it.
Willie Jefferson, Kwaku Boateng, Odell Willis, Sean Lemon, Micah Johnson, and Jagarrett Davis. So, back with Chaz and Maddie and Milt. What do you think of Slurpee Boy's choices?
Yeah, when we were getting this list, I was waiting to critique it, but I actually feel like Slurpee Boy, who has a lifelong brain freeze. I think he got it right.
His brain has been frozen since he was born anyway. It doesn't matter.
Pretty hard not to have Charleston Hughes on the top of that.
I think one name that jumps out is Kwaku Boateng, and such a young and promising defensive interior lineman and edge guy. Only 14 sacks, but I think that's going to grow. And I got my own list here of big gulp guys that are hungry. They're on the verge of becoming that next guy. So just, plug in as much 7-Eleven as we possibly can here. Slurpee boy. I think we get paid every time we say that.
Slurpee boy.
The big gulp guys are like people to me like A.C. Leonard, Avery Ellis. I've got Nick Usher, who we saw just mangle along with the rest of the Mall.
For Edmonton and Mike Riley.
The Mall firm of the Edmonton defensive line. Mike Moore was a big part of that. And a guy I like in the interior is Jake Serezna. And I just those are my big gulps, the guys that are up-and-comers that are really thirsty.
What I like about that list, you have a mixture of, as far as age goes. Of course, Charleston Hughes, which is the oldest one, is number one. He's not old. He's just the oldest one. And then you have a couple of middle-aged guys, Sewell. Jefferson is like between middle and young age. And then you have Kwaku Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang is what I'm going to call him. The young guy who's really coming up. I really like him. So it's good to see those mixture of guys. Of course, this list may change by the end of the year. We'll have to see what happens. But right now, those definitely the best set.
Kwaku Wu-Tang, the sack master from Shaolin.
There you go.
I like that.
Wu-Tang. There you go. I still wonder about Micah Johnson, too, now. I don't know if he has the $1,000 on the line with Charleston. CEO has the most, but Mike off to a slower start than Charleston. And thank you again to Slurpee Boy and another edition of 7-Eleven Player Rankings. We are at the half. BMO Field in Toronto and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, a second quarter surge, and they lead by a couple of touchdowns. It is 20-6. There's a stat for that. Here's Milt Stiegel.
There's a stat for that. Solid first half by both of these teams. Passing yards, 185 for Mazzoli, 132 for Franklin. We saw him catch on that second quarter. But the running game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, these two young Canadian running backs, you got to love them. Malik Irons, first touchdown in the CFL.
Just came on late, couple of carries in the end zone. Here he is with Matthew Shinetti.
Malik, I want you to tell people at home what it's like to be on the bench and then all of a sudden have to come into a goal line situation and score for your team, because a lot of people think that that's what you do as a football player, but it takes more than that. Take us through coming on right away and scoring a touchdown for your team.
It's definitely a jolt of energy when you hear your name on the sideline to go in, but we're all ready to rock whenever our names are called, and that's kind of how we do it here. So it's an exciting moment. Did it for myself, I did it for my family, I did it for my friends, and it's just good to be out there and start to get rolling.
And how good does it feel knowing that this team is putting its faith into Canadian running backs, obviously yourself and Sean Thomas Earlington? How good does that feel knowing that they put the faith in you guys?
I think our three running backs that we have are all willing, capable. We're all kind of different backs. We all have our own play style. Earls and Bennett and I, but I think we're all ready to rock whenever we need to, and I think we'll be a good season.
Appreciate this.
No problem. Thank you.
Malik Irons from Chilliwack, BC. Third-round pick in the draft this year. Couple of receivers there. One of them a little quieter, and Darrell Walker with just the one catch. But mostly Ticats in this first half. Second half kickoff coming up with CC and Suits after this.
Beautiful evening here in Toronto. It's the Ticats with a 14-point lead as we get set for the second half. First, Matthew Shinetti's on the sidelines with Corey Chamberlain.
Coach Chamberlain, what does your offense have to do to gain more momentum in the second half?
Well, the first thing we have to do is sustain drives. Like any other thing, we have to find a way. We got to make sure that we protect the quarterback and the things that we're doing. We got to make sure that we're catching the ball. All those fundamental things. I think that's the whole team. This is our first time live, and some guys are huffing and puffing, and guys are, settling into their nerves. So it's a brand new half, and we have to see how it turns out.
And defensively, how do you apply more pressure? And can you give us an update on Micah Iwa?
Well, right now he's out, and he's going through, his evaluation period, and we've had some guys dinged and down right now, so we've been making some adjustments, but nevertheless, early adversity, we have to find a way to fight through it and once again win the game.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Boy, when he said huffing and puffing in the first game, they had to buy in the first week, you can think you're in real good shape, but there's a difference between good shape and game shape.
Well, we're underway with Frankie Williams on the return, and Williams with a head of steam. Just got fumbled the football. Ticats had the first shot at recovering, and it looks like they do maintain possession.
So huffing and puffing in the first half. We'll see who's playing middle linebacker for Micah Alway.
Does Ian Wild kick across into the middle? That was a discussion during the week. It'll be Justin Herdman Reed.
Yep.
Brother at the middle linebacker in BC. Thomas Erlington. And Erlington kicks it outside. He's got some speed down the sidelines. And finally bumped out at the 16-yard line. Well, you heard Milt talk about him. He's top diminutive, but he showed some speed there, and he rumbles 54 yards.
I think it's Revenberg, but take a look at right here, the linebacker we just talked about, and Herdman Reed, and Revenberg coming out and getting that deep block on him on the second level. You get that block, linebacker can't make the play, your running back has a chance.
And just like that, he has his best ever game in the Canadian Football League at a 92-yard performance last year against Winnipeg. Lost yardage in the next play, but he's at 94 yards now on the day on 10 carries. 2nd and 13. Pass caught by Addison, who ducked under a tackle and will run it in. Touchdown, Braylon Addison.
Braylon Addison gets the touchdown. Sean Thomas Erlington is going to get the assist. Show you that in a second. But first, the throw and the open field running for Braylon Addison. Just one catch last week. Scores his first touchdown of the 19 campaign.
Finished strong last year. He had 4 touchdowns in the final 3 games of 2018. Ticats going for 2 again. And looking for Tucker, makes the catch. What a nice grab. Oh, now they're going to talk about it.
They're going to check on it.
Now they're going to rule incomplete. So he had it for a moment, but didn't secure it long enough. Nevertheless, Ticats come out charging in the third quarter, led by Thomas Erlington and Braylon Addison.
I mentioned Sean Thomas Erlington gets the assist on the touchdown. Can he block? Can the Canadian kid pick up a blitz? We've seen him run the ball very well here tonight. Panel talked about him at halftime. How about the block on Ian Wild? That stops Wild on the linebacker blitz, allows Jeremiah Mazzoli to get it out to Addison.
How about quick strike in this game? 3 touchdown drives, 48, 2 minutes, 48 seconds, 2:17, and 1:15, the length of the touchdown drives. I'd like to welcome viewers now joining us on TSN 1 and 3. Kevin Fogg on the return after an early touchdown here in the third quarter by the Ticats that's expanded the Hamilton lead to 26-6.
You also heard Coach Chamberlain at that halftime interview talk about protection for James Franklin. And to do what they need to do up front. And that may mean also to move the launch point a little bit. He's a great athlete, as Ricky Ray mentioned in the second quarter with us. And get him on the edges.
Did finish that first half with a good-looking drive. Here's Darrell Walker cutting it back against Rico Murray. Big hit by the safety at Delicate.
Quebec Coach Chamberlain went to Chapdelaine and said, can we get it to 87? Let's try and get that matchup and start calling plays to create some matchup advantages for us. Yes, they're going to need protection to run any play up front, but trying to get 87 involved in Darrell Walker.
Got the first pass of the game and has just his second catch. That one flared out to S.J. Green, and a flag comes down in the Ticat secondary. And you mentioned it late in the first half, and it continues here. It looks like the guys in black and gold have been more physical so far.
Illegal contact on the receiver. Hamilton, number 24. It's a 10-yard penalty. It's going to make it a first down.
Well, I think, and we saw it on the Thomas Erlington run to start this second half. They've won the line of scrimmage both sides. So whether they're on defense or offense, Hamilton has been more physical on the line of scrimmage, and that's why they have a 20-point lead right now, and that's where Coach Chamberlain talked about their line. Got to protect better, give James Franklin a chance.
Penalty means it's 1st and 10 at the 50. You think they got to get the ground game established, but nothing doing there. Dylan Wynn, the former Argonaut, drives Wilder back. 2 years in Toronto for Wynn, 6 sacks in his rookie season, and an Eastern All-Star in that freshman campaign. That's a big disparity, and one of the reasons the Ticats are in control. So 2nd and 7.
Got Walker in the slot now.
And a crosser caught, but Rico Murray containing Levi Noel brought down around the line of scrimmage. It's going to be 3rd down.
You know, Mark Washington, he knew what we knew, which was that Darrell Walker was going to be a favorite target. He's rolled coverage to it nicely. Again, Walker, they moved him to the inside position there on that last play, and he was covered down. Not an option for Franklin because well covered by the Hamilton secondary.
Williams back along with Addison. Pepper to punt. Not much of a breeze here at BMO today. Line drive, which will skip to the sidelines, and Frankie Williams gets bumped out at the 27. Plenty of Ticat fans have made the trip here and are enjoying what they've seen so far in the late afternoon and early evening here in Toronto. Sean Thomas Erlington fit a story looking for his first ever 100-yard rushing game. And up over the 32-yard line. It looks like he's about a yard short of 100.
A real good game, and I showed you not only can he run the ball as well as he has, he caught a few passes out of the backfield. Mills-Steagall at halftime mentioned he's got a nice low pad level that helps him when he comes to contact. He's an aggressor more than catching hits, and has some breakaway speed as well.
And as the guys mentioned, an 8th-round pick, 66th in the draft. One of Danny Machocha's guys for the University of Montreal, and a crosser here by the speedster Brandon Banks for another Ticat first down.
Well, Machocha guy and a Vanier Cup champion. So Sean Thomas Erlington has felt what it's like to be a champion, and when you are, you want to get that back. You have the hunger for it. It's different if you've never been there, and I know that's at the college level, but knows what it takes.
First down at the 40. Nice balance in the game. Play action fake. Mazzoli's got time. And it's Banks with another terrific catch. Speedy B into Argo territory. And has another Hamilton first down with that 20-yard grab. Does come up limping a little bit.
Look at the linebackers frozen in play action and really in no man's land for the Argos.
6 catches last week, his 6th of this game, and now it's Addison on that pitch sweep, and he'll get run out at the 46.
But you see all the time that Jeremiah Mazzoli had on that last throw to Brandon Banks over the middle. I mean, he sat back there, and somehow Corey Chamberlain's group got their hands on their hips up front. They've been going through the rotation. All 8 defensive linemen. When you get your hands on your hips like that, that's the first sign that you're starting to starve of oxygen.
Like being Wild in the middle now. 2nd and 5. Mazzoli, little dance out of the pocket. He'll slide for the first down.
We often have this discussion before a West or an East final. That team with the bye, are they better off because they're well rested, or is the team that just played sharp and ready to go? I mean, this is the case with the bye for Argos in the first week.
Yeah, and it was a topic of discussion. The rushing yard continued to be lopsided. But one thing, Ticats didn't have any film on this Argo team.
That's the other side, yeah. At this point of the season.
Slide was just short of a first down. They didn't have a short yardage situation last week. They get one here, and look at Mazzoli. He's going to run away for a first down. So 3rd and inches, and he gets 10.
So the first sign of fatigue is you get your hands on your hips and you start to kind of bend over, keel over a little bit. The second sign for a defense that's tired is they miss tackle. And right there was a chance to corral him, Jeremiah Mazzoli, and they missed the tackle up front.
Argos need a stop. Ticats trying to maintain this momentum. Here comes pressure. Mazzoli in trouble. And wide open. It is Kalinic. And it's a touchdown. So now it's Nikola Kalinic with his first ever Canadian Football League touchdown.
Well, Kalinic got knocked out from the tight end, but earlier in the game, I was talking about Mazzoli is tough to blitz, because when you blitz Mazzoli, when you send secondary people, linebackers, he can retreat and still be accurate. Not only was he retreating there, he was falling backwards, almost horizontal, and somehow spotted Kalinic and got it out to him.
The number 10 pick in the draft. So first it was Irons, now Kalinic, both out of the 2019 draft class, and both celebrating their first ever Canadian Football League touchdowns. So Sean Burke and the Ticat Canadian coaching staff having a big day, and there's 2 points for Braylon Addison, and the Ticats are in charge. 7 plays, 83 yards. Kalinic celebrating his first major. NHL free agent frenzy comes your way on Canada Day, July 1st. Join James Duthie, Bob McKenzie, Darren Drager, Pierre LeBrun as they track up-to-the-minute news, rumors, and break the big transactions of the day. It begins at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on TSN.
Love you, Mom. Love you, too. Shout out West Mall.
So return beyond the 30.
So Coach Chamberlain starts to say, I'm going to send more players than they can block. I'll send 7 and see if we can start to win the line of scrimmage. But when your quarterback can throw on this angle, you want to step into a throw, body straight. Look at the angle of the body of Jeremiah Mazzoli as he's releasing the football here, falling backwards and throwing it about 30 yards to Kalinic, who's wide open. One of the receivers is going to be open. The question is, can you get it to him before the secondary blitz gets there? Mazzoli threw it from his back.
Now Franklin can air it out. He's going deep. He's got Darrell Walker in stride, and the Argos have their biggest offensive play of the day as that goes 36 yards.
Well, now they basically have to. I mean, now you're down 34-6. It's time to just get ready to throw it. I mean, you might as well. You got press coverage from Delvin Breaux, your best receiver inside position, and Breaux recovered, but Walker hung on to it.
They mark it at the 35, make it a 42-yard connection. Franklin, and trying to connect there with Noel, who got tracked out of the backfield by Carriel Brooks. Mark Washington digs in. Argos need something here in response. A couple of Ticat touchdowns here in the third quarter. Simone Lawrence is having a big day.
You know, I'm not sure about alignment-wise offensively for the Argos here. I mean, do you want this guy blocking and trying to pick up a blitz from Simone Lawrence? The guy to Franklin's left, James Wilder, yes, for sure, but I'm not sure Darrell Walker is best utilized right there. Get him out running some routes, like he did on that deep ball.
Dial back to the opening day here in Toronto in 2016. Lawrence had 2 sacks, 7 tackles, tackle for a loss, a knockdown, and an interception in that game. I think we're going to give him the Defensive Player of the Year after the first game. And that was the first game played here at BMO.
He gets fired up about this rivalry, maybe. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Or just tried to change the topic of discussion. He's had a big day, and so has Nick Kalinich. It is a day that Nick Kalinich will never forget, a play that he certainly will never forget. Jeremiah Mazzoli with that fullback throw, and wide open is the rookie from York for a 31-yard touchdown. And he, surprisingly, has the biggest cheering section here at BMO today.
Okay. Well, CC, this is the last time I was in a group that was this energetic was last week during the Raptors when they won the championship.
Of course.
I'm alongside George. George, tell me why all of these guys here today are cheering for Nikola Kalinic.
We've known Nikola since birth, honestly, so now 22 years now we've known Nikola Kalinic, and he's been one of our best friends ever. And just to see him make it so far in his career with football, that's the best thing ever to us. We're here for him every step of the way.
Okay, so take us through what you saw when he went ahead and he was wide open.
There's no words to describe what we felt here. There's absolutely no words to describe what we felt here. We were so happy for Nikola. It's unreal. Unreal.
So what have you seen? How important has this journey been for him, knowing as you guys as you do? How important has it been to see him get to this point in professional football?
Very important. You know, it's a big step in his career, CFL. It can take him anywhere he wants. A lot of sacrifice had to be made, and we're here right beside him. NFL is next. So remember the name Nikola Kalinic. NFL, it's not over, but he knows every step is an important step, and we're here with him every step of the way.
Guys, I don't think you can hear him. I think you need to be louder.
You think so? Let's go, Need Drive!
That's outstanding. And Kalinic, after he celebrated with his teammates, went to the bench, and he actually bowed across the stadium, and you could see that dozen wearing number 84 just savoring the moment. Doesn't get much better than that.
No, it doesn't. Beautiful afternoon for football. There was a few Argo fans that weren't impressed sitting around there, but you know what? Both our games this week. A great crowd in Ottawa. Had a ton of fun there. That was just one massive party with the Ottawa win. They're now 2-0, and it has been an outstanding afternoon. It's bobblehead day for Darrell Walker and Ricky Ray being honored.
I think it's Canada Day, though, but Sean Thomas Erlington just went over 100 yards for the first time in his career. Malik Irons with his first CFL touchdown, and Kalinic may have trumped that because he brought the most fans with him. Ian Wild was shaken up on that last play, and so that's a problem spot for the Argos right now at linebacker with Wild and Alway both out of the game. First down. Here's Mazzoli stretching it out again. Oh, what a catch! Did you see that from Sean Thomas Erlington?
What a night for Thomas Erlington on the corner out here. He's given us a little bit of it all. I mean, what a catch by the tailback. Yeah, we've seen Darrell Walker do that. Yeah, we've seen Brandon Banks do that. You don't often see a tailback do that.
And there's a reason why there's a ratio in the Canadian Football League to give guys like that, 6-rounders, a chance to get their foot in the door. And when they do, they can play.
Exactly. You're bang on right, and the guys talked about it. And I think it was Matty who said, you know what, they're just good football players. Doesn't matter what stamp is on them, whether it's the U.S. or Canadian.
Face mask. Toronto, number 5. Will go up half the distance from where the ball went dead. It's going to be first down.
But the ratio gets them in the team, gets them in the camp, and gives them a chance and an opportunity.
They have to do the rest.
Exactly. There's no free rides. It's still pro football, but
he's become a ratio buster.
What a great catch.
Because he can do it all. Face mask against Jermaine Gabriel there after the Brandon Banks catch. Abdul Kenna's down, cramping up. While he gets attention, we can just update the stats for Thomas Erlington. 109 on the ground, and he's also caught 3 for 56. So 165 yards from scrimmage after 103 last week.
You guys decide what you want there.
Well, your summer romance is no one-night stand. It's 5 nights a week. Get ready for your new obsession, the international sensation, Love Island, 5 nights a week, starting July 9th on CTV. Not a lot of love here when Hamilton plays Toronto.
And Chamberlain does not love Erlington.
Or what's going on this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with him. His team looks tired. And they had the bye. First action, live action, regular season action for the Argos.
We mentioned Mazzoli last year, 385, 307, 338. His passing totals against Toronto, and here he is at 328, still in the third quarter. Toss here to Malik Irons, who gets another carry, down to the 10. 3 yards for Irons.
So Jeremiah Mazzoli has bounced back from, I would say, subpar for his standards when you go back to the 18 season and all the 300-yard passing games when he just threw for 89 net yards, or offensively they had 89 net yards in the second half against Saskatchewan. You were starting to say, what's going on with his offense? But he's back on track, over 300 as you mentioned.
2nd and 7. Open. Catch is made, and it's run in by Addison. Another Ticat touchdown. All Tiger Cats here in the Argo season opener.
I think Jermaine Gabriel is down. Is it Gabriel that comes up on this? Yeah, it is. And he's had his issues with injuries throughout his career. 7 years.
He's had a neck injury in a game here at BMO back in 2016 where they had to be very careful with him, and we hope this injury is not as severe. But they may need the stretcher board for Jermaine Gabriel again. One of the longest serving of the Argos, Jermaine in his 7th year. And the opener for the Argos goes from bad to worse.
I mean, he's been moving his legs and feet around and his arms around. I mean, I've been watching him, and just obviously being very cautious. You see he's moving his hands and legs.
So
that's a good sign.
That's the good sign here. We, of course, went through this scenario last year with Ricky Ray. One of the reasons he is watching today. That time when everything stops and nobody's as concerned about the scoreboard.
Well, it's a concern, and again, I would emphasize that there's Bill Manning, the president of the Argos, that is concerned as well. But again, a lot of times, or most of the time, and thank goodness, and knock on wood, but most of the time, this is just precautionary, and they want to just make sure. So they make sure they go through the examination. Can he get up? Does he have feeling? And it looks like he's going to get up.
His season ended last year with an injury in Hamilton in September. And we mentioned that play back in 2016. So playing the Ticats has not agreed with Jermaine Gabriel over his 7-year career. But that's a terrific sign.
Well, he's a great tackler and always has been throughout his career. He has always excelled at the physical part of the game, and just a fundamental issue with that tackle. He just dropped his chin and dropped his head. And for young tacklers and young football players watching, you can play the game safely, you can play the game physically. Just keep your head up and tackle what you see with your eyes. And even the best players in the game occasionally make the mistake of dropping their chin, dropping their head, and that's when you get in trouble. It's great to see him walking off, and again, precautionary. Take a look at him. They'll examine him, make sure it's all good, and sure he'll be back next week.
Scarborough product. Heading right to the Argo dressing room. So Addison, the touchdown, his second of the game, and Hiralahu will attempt the convert. And drills it through 41-6 in the first of 3 meetings between Hamilton and Toronto this year. Of course, the annual Labor Day Classic, and they will play again in Hamilton in the final game of the regular season.
There's still a quarter to play, and there's a lot of football to be played here in this game tonight. But, I would look at Jeremiah Mazzoli right now and start thinking how many series in the fourth quarter before you give Dane Evans a chance to get out there and run the offense, and he looked pretty good. I mean, I don't know if you saw at CC last night, the BC Lions in Edmonton. I was wondering why Mike Riley was on the field with 2 minutes to go in that game and 2 possessions. After getting pounded, I mean, Mike Riley took some hits last night.
Did he ever? 12 300-yard passing game for Mazzoli last year as his first of this season. Chris Rainey on the return, and Rainey out beyond the 40-yard line before he's tackled by Jamal Roll. 32 yards coming back for Rainey. And James Franklin back to work. Some fans might wonder, last year there was a lot of McLeod Bethel Thompson, but they're trying to establish James Franklin as the guy here, and he stays in.
Well, Chris, I think in the first 2 weeks of the season, Rick Campbell, the head coach in Ottawa, has really, I think, set the table for what you can do with a young quarterback, young and experienced, not necessarily in years and age, but young and experienced. Dominic Davis over in Ottawa didn't have a very good outing in the first 3 quarters, although he put together a couple of drives. He threw 4 picks in game 1, and he stuck with them, let him work through his issues. Game 2, he lit it up.
Second down, Franklin guns it over the middle, and Levi Noel with a catch into Ticat territory.
You really get yourself in trouble, I think, as a coach. If you have worked all offseason with a quarterback, you've basically named him as your starter. You said, remember I said off the top, Coach Chamberlain said it's your job to grow into. Not your job to lose, your job to grow into. And so you got to let him grow into it. And it's not been all his fault. I mean, they've lost the line of scrimmage tonight.
Checks down to Wilder. And Wilder trying to break the tackle of Rico Murray. That's the final play of the third quarter with the Hamilton Ticats in charge.
Drunk 6 weeks from Sunday. It all worked out when you walked out, girl, to tell you the truth. I
Three touchdowns in that third quarter for Hamilton. 153 passing yards for the Ticats in the third quarter.
Some big plays by a couple of great Canadian kids here in this game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And the Argos and the matchup between Tommy Condell, the offensive coordinator for Hamilton, and Coach Chamberlain, the head coach and defensive coordinator for the Argos. When the Argos have blitzed, and that's 7 times in this second half, Hamilton has made them pay for it with 174 yards of offense and 3 touchdowns. So they were ready. They were prepared for blitz from the Argos and from Corey Chamberlain, and they made them pay every time they tried to blitz them.
Well, the Argos advertised they'd be more aggressive on defense this year, but they're up against a veteran quarterback who's having a huge bounce-back game. Even though he won in the opener, was looking for more. There's a knockdown for Delvin Breaux on a pass intended for S.J. Green.
Playing a quarterback that's tough to blitz, and that's part of it. That was a chance for the first pick of the year for Delvin Breaux. First-year head coach in the Canadian Football League. It's only happened 4 times where we've had 4 head coaches that are in their first year in the league.
Just a correction, since I said it was Brooks, and it is Haralahu missing the field goal. And is Banks going to bring it out? He will. Here's Brandon Banks.
That's something.
Now he's got something. Up over the 30, 40, and Brandon Banks with an escort. Last man can't bring it down, and he's going to take it in. It's another Ticat touchdown.
Oh, baby. That one hurts if you're the Argos.
So Drew Brown missed the field goal, and Brandon Banks makes him pay.
An issue for the Argos last year in some of those real close games when they'd miss. Much needed 3. This isn't a game where that 3 was going to make a difference. But you try it anyway, and you can just see the Argos are just fatigued. They are just not in game shape.
Officially 112 yards on the return. Speedy B. Jr. looking on, and he likes it.
They're about the same size.
Now they're going to change it to 113.
Toronto.
And the Argos didn't have the right complement on the field, and so Anthony Covington off.
Well, and now I think you take Jeremiah Mazzoli out.
You know, for a split second, I thought bad decision coming out, except for the fact it's Brandon Banks.
It's him, yeah.
He's the truth, man. The camera on the wrong person.
He's the truth.
Frankie Williams directing. He had one last week, but wants to make sure the spot effort's good. And the Ticats pouring it on.
No, nigga, go. We ride, nigga. Yeah, we out here, huh?
So this has happened 4 times that there have been 4 brand new head coaches in the CFL. 1970, Yock, Echeverry, Jack Gata, Spavital. Then you had Huffnagel, Miller, Tressman, and Stugler. You could see the names. And what is interesting to me is that every one of those years, one of those new guys won. In 70, it was Echeverry. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
2008, it was John Huffnagel.
And it was Malenovich in 12 with Ricky Ray at quarterback. So
what you're saying is there's 4 guys on the clock.
Yeah, there you go. So who is going to be this year's champion? Looking at a 2-0 start.
And there were a lot of preseason prognosticators talking about the Ticats, who are looking a lot more like that kind of favorite here today than they were in their season opener.
Ottawa likes where they are after 2 weeks.
They're okay.
Yep.
Fogg on the return. Brought down by Nick Shortle, the pride of Nobleton. And it will be McLeod Bethel Thompson here in the 4th quarter. 2-6 last year. Remember that debut? A 4-touchdown, come from behind, 42-41 thriller. And against Hamilton, he had 2 games, 0-2 against the Ticats, 295 yards passing in his best effort.
Yeah, you know, this game is done. I mean, this game is over. I see right now Evans also warming up down by the nets. Dane Evans for Hamilton, so that will be Jeremiah Mazzoli's night.
Most points scored in a game so far early this year. The Ticat 48. Here's Bethel Thompson stretching it out, and S.J. Green couldn't bring it in. He was open and usually makes that catch.
Yeah, just out of this outstretched arm and fingertips. You see him layer through. Timing good on the throw. Almost like he didn't, well, he did find it. Just a little bit long.
Yep. Would have added to his highlight reel portfolio, but just seems like this isn't the Argo day. Pepper. Oh. And just a correction, they got Drew Brown punting now. So it will be Dane Evans in relief of Mazzoli, who leads with a 42-point lead. Some fun with Jeremiah Mazzoli, the big Golden State Warrior fan. The Raptors got the better of him, but he's taking it out on the Argos here today. His day's done. Dane Evans now in relief after Mazzoli puts 328 yards and 3 touchdown passes on the board.
Real good preseason for Dane Evans.
11 of 14, 96 yards, and a touchdown.
Valuable reps.
And a perfect compliment. One of those guys who makes the starter feel comfortable, but can get it done when he has to. And here is Ackland. And Jalen Ackland runs it out for a first down and up near the 50-yard line before he's brought to the turf.
Take a look at Evans. Find a nice little throwing lane in there to Ackland.
I mentioned that big game for Ackland, 343 yards. Fourth quarter, he had 12 catches for 172 and 2 touchdowns. I didn't think 12 catches in a quarter was possible. Evans on a roll. Well, Ackland's got 2 catches in this fourth quarter.
I don't think he's getting to 12, but hey, the CFL, you know how quickly you can accumulate stats.
Ackland had 8 catches in a preseason game against Ottawa.
Now, Luke Tasker, from what I understand, is just on the 1-game injury. He's not. What a performance by Sean Thomas Erlington here in this one. There's Tasker.
Erlington with 165 yards from scrimmage. His day done with irons in the backfield. Here's Addison taking that hitch and breaking a tackle, and away he goes. And Braylon Addison's got his 3rd touchdown of the game.
Oh, boy. It's one thing to lose to your rival. It's another to be embarrassed by it. Especially at home. Yep. Marcus Tucker's going to get a key block to spring Addison on this play. Let this play develop just for a second. A little quick swing pass. Watch 15 with a key block to the right of your screen right here. But I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with conditioning. That was stopping your feet moving by Matt Webster. Either because he's too tired or poor technique and just sort of lunging.
So Addison, 6 catches, 107, and a 3-touchdown game. Convert good. Wow. This becoming one of the most one-sided of Ticat Argo games in the long history of this rivalry. Well, I'm not sure there's enough drinks for this. 6 consecutive drives for the Ticats with touchdowns, which I think fuels your theory about the fatigue factor that Corey Chamberlain may have to embrace.
Got to work on conditioning quickly here. Got 9 days before the next game, and the first 3 or 4 of them have got to be on conditioning.
On the road at Mosaic. Let's head to the sidelines. Here's Matthew Shinetti.
Not only are we talking about conditioning suits, but we're also talking about injuries and what they're going to have to do over those 9 days. Because look at your depth chart. Behind me, Abdul Kane is getting work on his lower right leg. Tremaine Washington had an injury to his hamstring. Then we saw, obviously, Micah Awe out after the first half. And then, obviously, we saw what happened to Jermaine Gable. And Ronnie Pfeffer also hasn't been kicking in this half. So over these next 9 days, there's going to be quite an infirmary in the Argos locker room, guys.
Well, that's sort of the progression of the conditioning issue. I mean, you see it at first indication, hands on the hips. Defensively, you start missing tackles, missing blocks offensively, fumbling, turning the ball over, that kind of thing.
And almost intercepted.
And then the next step is you get injured. You get injured, and it's usually muscle pulls, muscle strains, things like that. So I think that's goal number 1 for this Argo team, because again, on paper, this team looks like, well, they're better than this. I'll guarantee you that. They're better than 55-6. But I tell you what, against Hamilton, 55-6, that's not going to sit well.
Justin Tuggle nearly had a pick. 2nd and 10. Pass, knocked down. Great break on the ball by Carrio Brooks, who's had a good day, and I guess just about everybody wearing black and gold has.
Well, they played faster, and they played more physical. So they won the line of scrimmage, and once you win there, it really is the beginning of the end. I mean, that's where the battle starts, and that's where you win and lose games.
Big stats day. We've got NBA champion John Russin crunching numbers in the booth. And CFL statistician Steve Daniel informing us that the 6 consecutive touchdown drives is the most ever since he was charting that since 2007. Short punt, and here's Frankie Williams getting blocks, getting outside, and this is more trouble. Williams cut down. There is a flag in behind the return as Frankie Williams brought that back inside the 15. The last previous win by the Ticats over Toronto in this area, 57-13 on July 25th, 1981. But this even more decisive.
Well, one of the great stories of this game for Hamilton has been...
They're in the run back, major foul, blindside block. Hamilton, number 95. It's a 15-yard penalty from where the ball was held at the time of the penalty. It's going to be first down.
Julian Hauser called.
Couple late. Show you that penalty. Comes the block, and it'll be right in the middle of your screen down Main Street, right there. Can't come back. The new rule this year, new player safety. But one of the great stories has been Sean Thomas Erlington, the young tailback out of Montreal. Outstanding game for him.
Well, back at the 48, Evans throws the hitch into the hands of Tucker. And Tucker has a first down at the 35-yard line.
You know, his teammates kept telling us this guy has got a little bit of everything. He's got it all. He's got that toughness. What we didn't know, and I haven't heard them talk about how good he is down the field as a receiver. That's as good a catch as you'll see from any receiver in the league this year. And that came from Thomas Erlington in the third quarter.
Flared out, and Ackland's got another catch. He'll get that brought down by Woodson. And this makeshift Argo defense.
Now for the Argos right here, this is where coaches are looking to see if anyone shuts it down. And this is where, if you're playing defense right now, I don't care how tired you are, you better win your battle, win your one-on-one battle right now, because the coaches will watch this section of film. Well, it's not film anymore, it's high-tech phone stuff. But they'll do that, and they're going to watch and see if anyone shuts it down. Now, they're pros, so it's, it doesn't happen very often. The guys still battle, but
good
shut it down
there by Malik Irons. He ran over Herdman Reed. I mentioned to Ricky Ray about that opener 2 years ago when he threw for 506 in the season opener against the Tiger Cats. Well, Hamilton now up to 596 net yards. 2 years later, it's quite a role reversal.
I think Ricky Ray's daughter right there, Chris, I think she just turned to Ricky and said, your old team, Dad, isn't playing very well, because Ricky kind of nodded his head and went, yeah, no, they stink. See, she even plugged her nose. She went, no, they stink today, Dad. I'm not happy.
Dad, I'm glad you're not playing. Chloe and Olivia, I think, are checked out of this one. But nevertheless, a special day for their dad. Passing the end zone, and that one incomplete.
That's what I mean there about Anthony Covington right there. That's gonna help. I mean, it's over. This one's over. You lost it, but if he just gives up on this and lets Crockett just come up with another catch and get it to 60, forget about the number. It's the effort. And Covington just stuck with it. He said, I'm going to just keep battling, keep working. And on film, at least they'll say, okay, he didn't quit. Could have shut it down. He didn't quit. These are important.
Playing for the pride and the film right now. Iralahu to put 3 more on the board. 58 for the Ticats. And still over 5 minutes to play. Witness history as Canada continues their quest for gold on Monday against Sweden in round of 16 action at the FIFA Women's World Cup of France. Coverage begins at 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific on TSN and CTV. Just checking scores from last year. The most points in a game scored by Winnipeg. They put 56 on the board. Hamilton had 50. In games against Montreal, a pass complete to S.J. Green from McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Well, it's been a pretty busy start to the season for the wrong reasons for Randy Ambrosie, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, sitting in on watching this one. In regards to the appeal process for Simone Lawrence and the hit on Zach Collaros. And we talked about that earlier in the game. And it is going to be appealed. Apparently that's in July. So until then, Simone Lawrence, who has had a very good game again in week 2 here. Some will say that he shouldn't have been playing in this one, but the process is the process, and he's entitled to appeal.
Offside, Hamilton, number 94. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
You know, and he'll get his day, and he'll get his arbitration. Probably play 3 games until that time.
Lorenzo Malden offside. Pass in the dirt. Is it picked off by Bro? I believe he's got it. Another turnover. The pass intended for Edwards, but Delvin Bro has his first regular season interception since his rookie year. And his handshakes all around.
Everyone loves when you're on the right side of a score like this. The game is tons of fun.
I like that hit the ground. It has to go through review.
Yeah, I think that might have hit the ground. You know, and it's getting back to that point with Simone, and you see the commissioner, and he's got to deal with this, and it's been a lot of talk in the first week of the season for the wrong reasons, and in that first week 1, and our Ottawa game, very close and good game as well. 2 young quarterbacks performing very well in that game on Thursday night. You know, I still think the Players Association and the league are going to have to get together and change precedent. Now maybe Simone Lawrence isn't the example. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's, but do we wait for another one? Do we wait for 3 or more? Because if you go back 10 years and you look at Kyrie Seber and a guy that had a history of it, it took about 5 incidents for him to be given a 2-game suspension. So that's what Simone Lawrence.
For the review, the ruling on the field is of an incomplete pass. It's going to be 2nd down for Toronto.
That's what Simone Lawrence is, and the PA is basically saying in this appeal, is that, you know, in the last 20 years, as long as we can remember, there was always all those steps. But at some point, the league and the association got to get together and say, listen, we got to change it. Because I showed you those decisions that they had to make. Richard Leonard and Simone Lawrence had the exact same decision and the same amount of time to do it. And one made the wrong choice and the other made the right choice in the game today. So change the precedent so the players get the picture and the players understand that it's going to be a stiffer penalty if you do it. Maybe it's not Simone, but if that message gets through because of Simone, then there's something positive out of this at the other end.
Second and 10. Bethel Thompson got it away. S.J. Green the catch. And it will be a first down. Well, your interesting thoughts, and everybody has a take. Here's Orlando Steinauer on the topic.
You know, we want to play hard, we want to play aggressive, we want to play within the rules. So we're on board with player safety. You know, we're on board with supporting our guy and Simone. But at the end of the day, you know, when things like this happen, I understand both sides, from the PA and from the commissioner and the league. Understand both, and we just address that, and we really got to move on.
Here's Levi Noel, a big play for the Argos, but there are flags in the Argo backfield.
Yeah, and I agree with Coach on that. You know, I mean, let's move on, but let's move on with the thought that we are going to get together as a league, as an organization. We'll do what we can to portray the message.
Illegal block, hands to the face. Toronto, number 57. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
Tyler Holmes.
But let's be clear on one thing. Both the CFL PA and the players and the league both want the game to be safer in any way we can do it. And Randy Ambrosi has done a lot of things already to make the game safer. You're talking about different training camp techniques and different restrictions on how many times you can actually hit in camp and things like that.
Pass caught by Jimmy Ralph.
And we hope, and most importantly, and Chris, I don't want to belabor it, but most importantly, I hope that Zach is okay, you know, and he's got to make some tough decisions moving forward. Simone Lawrence will get through this. Everyone that I've talked to since the hit have said, you know, he's not that type of guy. Even opposition players and coaches I've talked to, he's not that type of guy. He's not a jerk trying to hurt people. He made a bad choice. He made the wrong decision. It was a dirty hit. Zach Collaros is out because of it, and those are the facts. And hey, you've been in the fight and you've been across that stripe. There's been times when you've made the wrong choice, the wrong decision. So we'll see what he gets. But again, hopefully moving forward, they get together, they change the precedent, and they start to force the right decision more often.
Another Argo injury, and it's the left tackle, Isaiah Cage. Who beat out the incumbent William Campbell for that spot. But that's a long list of injuries here, and what has been a beatdown at BMO. Good to see the big man up. Former Indianapolis Colt slowly to the sidelines.
Well, when all the guys were picking across the country, we're all picking, you know, who's going to be the top of the division, the West and the East, and pretty much everyone said Hamilton. This is more of the Hamilton team that I think they were thinking about.
Second down, Bethel Thompson does get it away. Noel again a catch, but he'll be stopped short of the first down. So we've hit the 3-minute warning here. All Ticats today, particularly here in the second half. Final game of week 2. Here's the week 3 schedule. Eskimos will be in Winnipeg. That'll be a beauty on Thursday Night Football. Alouettes go to Hamilton. The Lions in Calgary on Saturday. We'll be with the Argonauts and the Rough Riders on Canada Day with the panel.
So they're letting the panel out of the cage? Is that what you're telling me?
What could go wrong on Canada Day weekend in Regina?
Well, we're heading to Memories Restaurant, I can tell you that right now. Little plug for a friend there.
Usually a full slate of activities.
Yeah, no, hey, that'll be fun. And you know, Coach Chamberlain's got some work to do, clearly, but these games, they at times can get away on you.
Yeah, Corey Chamberlain back where he won a Grey Cup in 2013. Bethel Thompson going to air this out, looking for Walker, incomplete. And good coverage again on Darrell Walker. Step for step, Jamal Roller lost his starting job, but getting a chance here to reestablish himself. If the score holds with a 52-point lead, it will be the biggest ever. No, the decision desk has long declared it. But if it stays at 52, it will be the biggest win by the Ticats ever over the Argos. Not that punchy.
I thought you were going to say the no score is safe thing. This score is safe.
This is safe. Nick Chortle helping preserve that.
I'll add one little quick thing for the Argos here. I like that McLeod Bethel Thompson, who's come in with about 7 or 8 minutes to go here, and just, you know, he's still fiery. He's still battling. He's still trying to make it happen here. And you know, he takes a sack here, but that last throw before that play, he threw it to Darrell Walker and missed him, and he was upset with it. I mean, he wants to go out there and make some plays. Forget about the score, just make some plays. And
third Ticat sack, third and 18 downfield. Oh, what a catch, Shamarty Edwards. So there's one for the film for number 10.
Exactly.
In a game that's long gone.
Exactly, and for McLeod Bethel Thompson, watch how he works this now. He's going to work through the pocket, bounce around, find himself a throwing lane, and continue to work. I mean, get some good reps, because good reps build. Every time you do the right thing and you build a good rep, it builds a foundation and you become a better player.
First and goal. Over the middle. Back to Edwards. Strong hands again. Touchdown. Well, if nothing else, trying to make it not the worst beating against their old rivals.
Just laid it out in front of Edwards here and let him go get it. Again, had to negotiate the pocket. That was the deep one. Got him down there.
Should mention on Ricky Ray Day, the quarterback who threw that touchdown from the same school. I don't think we were too familiar with Sacramento State until Ricky Ray.
Yeah, we are now.
McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Dylan Wynn's not slowing down.
Oh, he's enjoying this game against his old team.
Toronto, number 59. 5-yard penalty will repeat the convert.
Well, I think honorable mention for player of the game is going to go to the offensive and defensive line for Hamilton tonight, because, as I mentioned a couple times now, they own the line of scrimmage tonight. And we just mentioned Dylan Wynn, but I saw Ted Laurent in the backfield a ton.
There's a lot of honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And here's a completion and 2 points. In goes S.J. Green. I better get Brandon Smith in as far as Sacramento State goes as well.
Oh, yeah.
One of the great veterans in the league, but S.J. Green, another on a long day, gets a 2-point convert reception from McLeod Bethel Thompson after the Armonte Edwards touchdown.
So that cuts into your margin.
It won't be the worst unless the Ticats drive the field one more time. Edwards, the top Argo receiver in terms of yardage, 73 yards on 4 catches. Levi Noel, 7 catches for 71.
Orlando Steinauer, 2-0. It was just for me, watching him as an assistant throughout the years, coordinator, DB coach, working his way up the ladder. It was just a matter of time for him. He was one of those guys that for the last, I want to say almost 8 to 10 years, Steinauer's been one of those guys in the conversation every single time there was a coaching vacancy.
Going to try the short kick. Not that short. And fielded. And a knee goes down as that was taken by Brian Jones. The Nissan Titan player of the game brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League.
Well, Sean Thomas Erlington had 12 carries for 109 yards, and in those 12 carries, you won't see his best play of the game. His best play of the game, and the one that'll be on all the highlight reels tonight, was an unbelievable catch on a corner route. And again, when you look at the degree of difficulty on that play, and consider that it's a tailback, not a receiver, outstanding.
52-yard run, 37-yard circus catch, and 165 yards from scrimmage for the tailback out of Montreal in his third year.
And early in the first half went down. Had to sit out a few plays.
And as good as those numbers are, they were done in under 3/4 of work because of the score. And so some valuable reps for Malik Irons, who has had a touchdown. And if you joined us late, maybe the emotional highlight of the game was the Nikola Kalinic touchdown, his first ever. The York product with a dozen buddies in the stands, all wearing 84, and they were so good that they got an interview from Matthew Shinetti. So there'll be a lot to talk about in Hamilton. And breaking news here with, in the final minute, the first 2 and out of the game for Hamilton.
That was one of your honorable mentions. Mazzoli over 300. And a successful return for Chris Van Zyl.
You think he's enjoying this?
Yeah.
Like that, put it out of bounds, so that's an illegal punt. And we've got a couple dozen seconds to run off the clock here and finish week number 2.
Interesting parity in the league this year after a couple of weeks.
Illegal punt out of bounds. Hamilton, number 70. We'll go 10 yards from where the ball went out of bounds. It's going to be first down for Toronto.
And you think of Montreal in week 1 battling back against Edmonton. Looks like they're going to go with Vernon Adams. They just signed Brandon Bridge in Montreal. And I think some people were surprised by the effort there. Kahari Jones got to get his stamp on that as quickly as he can. This is a better team than 58 against them, the Argos.
Gonna say, we used a key term early in the game. We said they look good on paper.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to bring it together. And again, the lack of conditioning. Swam up like, remember my favorite movie, Jaws? Swam up and bit him right in the butt. Got him right in the backside. Corey Chamberlain knows it. Missed tackles, missed blocks, no protection for the quarterbacks. All signs of fatigue.
Highlight for the Argos today was the terrific ceremony before the game to honor Ricky Ray.
And congratulations again to Ricky on just an outstanding career. First ballot Hall of Famer, 4-time champion, and one of the nicest guys you've been able to hang around with and have ever met. And it is so Ricky Ray that in the night when he is honored here at BMO, he wears his simple white t-shirt and humbly says thank you with his press pass in front of him.
Got the press pass, just in case.
And in a 58-14 blowout, stays right to the last whistle.
One of the few times he'll outvote his daughter on a ruling. It's not over yet. This one going to the house, and it's another former Argo, Rico Murray. And it will be the most lopsided Hamilton win ever over Toronto.
And there are 3 Argos running to the locker room. Like, they are, get me out of here.
3 back.
I mean, I guarantee you the majority of the Toronto Argonauts through their entire football lives have not lost by over 60 points in their life. Have not had 60 plus put on them in a game. Yeah, man.
Not going to get a convert. So they've said it's over mercifully. Boy, they ate the Marauder today, didn't they? Holy Mackinac, 64-14. The Hamilton Ticats win their first two of 2019.